Hi guys, back again with another video. So today's video, let's talk fundamentals. And I think this is one of the topics of the part of Forex trading aspects where a lot of people struggle with. But to be honest, guys, as I always tell you that I kind of ditched fundamentals because at the time when I was still like learning and grinding, I couldn't really understand how they work, and also I would do my technicals, and then by the time I go to news and start to browse through what's going on, I felt like my mind was just too hot, probably tired to even understand what the news mean. And I remember back in 2021, so I had just funded my first account, $10 by the way. And then I think there were news. So I was trading like NZD-CAD, and then there were news on daily FX on the economics calendar with regards to the Canadian dollar. And then I thought that I couldn't even understand if the time on the next I couldn't even understand that like the times of the news on economics calendar, whether they were like South African time or it was time that they were going to be announced in Canada, right? So I waited and waited and thought that they were going to happen at that particular time. But what I did not know is the fact that that was South African time, and so I think it was somewhere around about 7 o'clock or something like that. So what I did, I went to the internet and counted like the time difference between Canada and South Africa. So I thought that then those news were going to be announced 6 hours later in South African time, but only to find out later that that was South African time, the news were going to be announced at that particular time. As a result, I ended up blowing that account, guys, to be quite honest with you, because I did not understand how the news work, the time, but I'm grateful for what happened because it taught me something, made me realize that I did not know anything about fundamentals. So that's when I went back so that I could understand what was going on. But without any further time, let's get to what is fundamental analysis, because I only understood later what fundamental analysis is, what it does, such that now I don't even have to look at fundamentals, but just by looking at the type of candles that are in the charts, I can clearly understand. So that is the beauty of failure, guys, or tragedy. So embrace failure, guys, because there are lessons that you need to learn in there. Even if you're blowing, you're in a losing streak, it's fine. That's part of Forex trading. Losses are inevitable. But what you have to do is to show up. That is the most important thing. Show up even when you are facing a series of losses. But do take a break, step away so that you can go over your losses as to what is going on. So let's get into the video, guys. What is fundamental analysis? Now that we have covered technicals, but let's go to fundamentals and also understand how do they work. So the $1 million question is, what is fundamental analysis, right? So fundamental analysis, we already know that if we're looking at the market from a technical perspective, what we really focus on is studying the past price action to make trading decisions currently, right? Based off also the premise that the price repeats itself. So we study patterns, candlesticks, and many more. But it's a different case when it comes to fundamentals, because the distinction that I want to make here is that when we're looking at technicals, we're basically focusing on the past price so that it can also help us to understand what is going on currently. But now when we're talking about fundamentals, we're talking about the current news, current market prices, right? Current market movement. And they're only for a short term. They don't repeat themselves, or because we don't really have high impact news each and every single day. So that's what the difference I want you to have in mind here. Technical past price, but we're nearing the current price. But sorry, when we focusing on fundamentals, focus on the current price. What is going to happen in the next hours? For example, at 8 p.m. today, we will be seeing interest rate decision from the Fed in the US. So that is what, but I'll also show you on the economics calendar. So fundamental analysis, it is whereby a trader trades and focuses to the markets based on economic events the state of the, we're looking at the state of the economy, we're looking at the strength of a specific industry. So industries can be broken down into three. There's economic industry. State of the economy can be differentiated into three, which is we're talking about the economic, which is macroeconomic scale, the industry, for example, transport industry, internet industry, which is, for example, when you're talking about internet industry, we're talking about things like your NASDAQ or those companies like Intel, Microsoft, and many more, which means that we're looking at something like NAS 100 and US 30. And also companies, how are the companies doing? What are the stock prices, right? So second point is a trader focuses solely on economic data, such as interest rates, like I said, gross domestic product, employment change, performance of top companies and their stocks, right? So this type of trader focuses on short-term gains, market spikes, capitalization on market volatility on that particular day. Also, fundamental analysis, like I said, is based on the current market price conditions, right? So like I said, that when it comes to news, if you want to trade the news, you take advantage of the spikes, the long candles in the market, and also there is much volatility because fundamentals can either make you or break you, which is if you are experienced enough, you can trade the news if you understand what is their impact, because you stand a chance of making a lot of money within a short period of time. So that is how you can take advantage of trading fundamentals. But I will get into that into another video where I will be discussing like how can you trade the news, right? So we're taking advantage of the spikes, capitalize on the market volatility on that particular day. For example, a lot of people all their eyes are set on the FOMC today, but I will cover in the next slide as to what is FOMC, right? So let's move forward. So I categorized the news in terms of the country or the economy, right? So in the US, we have these events that I have shown you here that are high impact, or they have the high impact on the news. And as you already know, that the US is one of the biggest economies in the world, right? So the first event that we have in the US is NFP, non-farm payrolls. So NFP is a report from the US on the employment change, and it occurs on the first Friday of each month, right? So for example, guys, if NFP, if let's say NFP is going to be announced on this Friday, right? So if in the US they are focusing that the job industry or the employment, like jobs that were created, let's say they are focusing something like 300,000. But the report comes back and says that the market grew only by 100,000, which is 100,000 jobs were created, that is a negative. That will negatively affect the dollar, because that means there was not much growth economic-wise in terms of job employment. So that carries weight towards the dollar and makes it lose value on that particular week, month, or day, right? Because not only NFP contributes in the value of dollar, also other current, other events. So that is how you can read NFP. However, if they were anticipating that there was going to be 300,000 job growth from the previous month, and you find that the number exceeded that 300, or maybe becomes 400,000, then that's a positive for a dollar. You would most likely buy your USD Swiss francs, your USD CAD, your USD JPY, because that would mean the dollar is strong, right? So the second event that we have from the US is FOMC, which is Federal Open Market Committee. So the committee focuses on US money supply, inflation control, interest rates, and overall growth of the economy, right? So each and every country had that sector that focuses on the money supply of each country. For example, in South Africa, we have like the focus on the money supply and also on the fiscal side of things. So fiscal side of things, I think it deals with taxes and the economic growth, right? Then US money supply, we're talking about inflation and interest rates. So that's what it means. So for example, today from the US, with the forecast is that the interest rates are going to increase from 2.5% to 3.25, if I remember well. But I'm going to go into economics calendar so that I can show you that those news will be announced today at 8 p.m. right? So yeah, that's what it means. And then, like I said, that guys, things like inflation need to be controlled, because inflation cannot be allowed to be skyrocketing. So to combat or to stop that, then the committee from the the Fed is the one that takes care of such events. So this is one of the new news events that have high impact in the markets, right? Because that will give direction as to what's going to happen in the dollar. Right. So moving forward now, we have CPI, Consumer Price Index, and Retail Sales. So that is a report on consumer spending or consumption, then forms part of inflation. So we look at how is the money supply, the fuel or goods and services prices, how is the consumer confidence? Are they buying enough? Is there a lot of inflation going on? And then, so that's what it's being looked at, right? So we have now the currencies that are most affected. So you have your USD Swiss francs, which is, if we were talking about the US dollar as the base, we have USD Swiss francs, USD CAD, then your crosses, GBP USD, Euro USD, US 30, and your NAS 100, because we're talking about also companies here, the stocks, which is in the US, we have US 30 and the NAS 100. So I'm only going to cover in this video the US economy and the European economy. Then moving forward, I'll also cover what the news events from that affect the New Zealand dollar, the pound, and also the Australian dollar as the major currencies, right? So let's move forward now to the last one. So moving forward now to the European economic events. So a euro, or the euro as a currency is not owned, we don't have euro as a country. It's countries that came and formed together and decided that they were going to use the euro. And as we all know that the British, so I think it was the Brexit thing. It's when the British got off this thing of using the euro and used their own currency, which is the pound, right? So the economic events, guys, are not the same from country to country. They vary, right? So we have in the European economic events, the gross domestic product, which is GDP, the amount of goods and services that have been produced and exported from within the boundaries of the country, if I remember well from economics, because I did economics in high school, right? So Eurozone accounts over 80% of European Union. So yeah, European Union, which is the top dogs there are the Germany, the French, Italy, and Spain, right? Which is Germany, the automobile industry. I'm not pretty sure about in France, but Italy and Spain. And then so that's what happens. So we look at the GDP, how is it doing, and also how that is going to affect the euro as compared to other currencies. Then you have your CPI, which I explained, which is CPI from the European side of things, announced on the end of each month, which is we not only, like I said, guys, Europe is not a country, but it's a group of countries that came together and are using the euro, right? So we're looking at the CPI from the French and the Germany, because those are the top dogs that are using the euro. And then we also have the ZEW, which is the ZEW, or the German ZEW survey, right? We're looking at the confidence and the sentiment of the euro on the current or the economy in terms of the European side of things, right? So it is whereby financial experts are asked about where they see the economy, where are they predicting the economy in the Europe from the medium term. So that's what they look at in terms of the euro. And then we have the big one, which is the European Central Bank. So the European Central Bank focuses on the interest rate decision, and the president delivers a speech about where the economy is headed. So like I said, guys, it's important to familiarize yourself with the terminology, because to be honest, guys, one of the reasons why I stopped, or rather refrained from looking at or basing my analysis in terms of fundamentals, it was such words that I did not understand, your hawkish and your dovish. But when they are saying that they are expecting the economy to be hawkish, then it actually means that they are expecting confidence or the economy from the Europe to grow significantly, or it's going to do well, right? Or if they're saying that the interest rate is looking to be hawkish, then that means the chances are that they're going to increase the interest rates, which is going to affect the dollar positively because it's going to appreciate, because it's going to affect foreign people to invest in the Europe, right? Or in the euro. And then when they are saying that the economy is looking to be dovish, then that means they are not expecting good things. It's probably going to recess or depress for a short while. Then that's going to negatively affect the euro. So those are the economic events that are found from the Europe and the US. Yours is to just also logically understand how do these news affect the currency, and also that it can help you make the trading decisions. But another important factor here is that news do not determine direction. They are only for the short while, but the technicals are the ones that we use in terms of direction and the long-term price movement, because fundamentals are only just for a short period of time, right? And you see when there are news by those long and big candles, that's when you should know that there were news involved. But it's not important to know how the news work if you don't know how to apply them. But I will make a video as I go forward on that. But for now, I will end it here. So I hope you took something valuable from this video, guys. And if you watched up until the end, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. I will most definitely see you on the next video. So yeah, guys, like I did say that I was going to head into economics calendar. So I'm on daily FX economics calendar. As you can see, today we're expecting the FOMC, which is the Federal Open Market Committee, to announce what's going to happen in terms of the interest rate in the US as a way to combat or to control inflation. So as you can see here, they are focusing an increase to at least 3.25%. So if then they end up exceeding or meeting the number, then that's going to boost the dollar positively, which is most likely going to see USD Swiss francs, USD CAD being pushing to the upside, and your Euro USD, GBP USD, and gold becoming sells or going to the downside, right? And then the news event is going to happen at 8 o'clock. So what you can do here, if you're going to trade the news, right, you have two things. You can either decide not to participate here to protect your account if it's small. So if you have a big account, then if you understand what's going on, then you can trade the news. But for me, I'm not one of those that like to trade the news, because as I explained here as to what happened, or what is my experience with the news, right? And then it was actually right here when that thing happened. So yeah, guys, then the second thing that you can do, you can decide whether you want to trade during the announcement of the news, or you can wait up until everything is covered so that you can see where it all go. But it does not only end there, guys. We also have at 8:30 the Fed press conference. The Fed press conference. So I don't really know what's happening in terms of that. Then yeah, that will be the end of the economic events from the US. And then this is Brazil, but you don't look at Brazil. So if you can just click there, then you can see that in the United States, the authority said to set interest rates is divided between the and then the board decides on the changes in discount rates after recommendations submitted by one or more of the regional Fed Reserve banks. So the FOMC decides on open market, including the desired levels of the central bank money or the desired federal funds market rate. But here it does not give you what you really need as to what does it mean if the number is high, what does it mean if the number is low. But like I said, that if they end up exceeding this forecast, then that's going to boost the dollar. You're going to see the DXY going to the upside, or a strong dollar. And if they don't meet this number, then the dollar is going to lose value today. And then that's what is going to set the direction in terms of the market. Because if you look at the markets, guys, the market have been consolidating, like your Euro USD, your US to Swiss francs are not giving us clear things to work with, and it's because of such times when these high impact news are going to be announced. And also, as you can see here, these are going to be high impact news. It's not just any news, and then the medium ones. So if it's low, then does not really have much that's going to happen. So that's what I wanted to show you guys in terms of the US dollar today, 8 p.m. And if you can also just look tomorrow, and if you look tomorrow, it's the same thing. And I'm guessing that it's that time now where because if you look at the beginning of this month or last month, there were many things going on from many countries about inflation. So now it's that time, which is the reaction in terms of controlling inflation. So it also happens in all these countries. So as you can see here, we have the Bank of Japan also going to announce as to what's going to happen in the interest rate decision. So they are focusing about the same number, right? So let's check. And then also, as you can see, it's high impact news. And moving forward now to, let's see another one here. So another one that we have tomorrow, we're also expecting the United Kingdom to give us a decision in terms of the interest rates, which is they're also expecting an increase, or they're looking to increase the interest rates, that's going to boost also the pound as a currency, which is, if it all goes according to plan, then you might see the pound gaining strength. And like as you could see on Euro GBP, so if we end up getting those sales, long-term sales, that would actually mean that the pound is going to be strong. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.